Phlebotomists, we are about to go live. Let's talk about this marketing message. Let's go. I'm so excited. What's going on, phlebotomists? Today, we are going to be talking about your marketing message for not only a mobile phlebotomy business, but also for regular patients that are regular phlebotomists that are working at patient service centers, hospitals, clinics. We need to understand our marketing message and making sure that it gets across to the right audience, the right patients in the right way. So let's dive in. Hey, phlebotomists, can you guys hear me loud and clear? We're going to be talking about your marketing message for your mobile phlebotomy business. Let me make sure that all of the sounds are off here so that we can have a great show today. Make sure you guys are actually dropping your names in the chat. So I want to see who's all in here, who's all in here listening, wanting to get some gems, wanting to get some understanding. Make sure you guys drop your names in the chats below. I'd love to see who's all in the building. Also, you guys, happy Martin Luther King Day. And also, if you're in Houston, Texas, beware. It is very cold outside. It's freezing. Actually, make sure your faucet is on, and also make sure your heat is on too. Okay, it's like a freeze warning going on. So it's really, really cold out here. So make sure you guys are staying warm. But also, you guys just drop your names in the chat. I would love to know who's all here. Give you guys a shout out. Hey, Brandy. What's going on, Brandy? How are you? I see you out there marketing your mobile phlebotomy business. Shout outs to Brandy. Hey, Patricia, how are you? What's going on? So we're going to be talking about our marketing message for not just, phlebotomists, but mobile phlebotomists as well. Because a lot of times we don't know the marketing message and we don't know what it means. So we're going to dive into it because I've had experience with understanding the marketing message because I've worked at a LabCorp where we have to have a marketing message, whether it's our clothes, whether it's our skill, our appearance, our personality. Those things are crucial. It's huge. It's really, really big. So I had experience in that area and also experience, in the mobile phlebotomy industry with my mobile phlebotomy business, with my marketing message as well. So I just want to talk to you guys about it so that we have an understand on these 4 things that we need to understand for our marketing message with our mobile phlebotomy business and phlebotomists working in patient service centers, because we need to get through and understand this entirely. Okay, so we're going to dive into this. I'm so excited. And here we go, phlebotomists. So first things first, I want to show you guys this really quick. Okay, so we're going to read through it. And I'm going to also explain to you guys, the different marketing messages. Okay, so whether you're visiting patients' homes, coordinating with clinics, working in emergency services, or part of various departments in your mobile phlebotomy business, you are essentially a marketer. Okay, so believe it or not, your role extends beyond drawing blood. And I'll repeat that again, phlebotomists. Your role that you do, venipunctures, you do more than just that. Okay, we have phlebotomists that are entering patients' information and giving customer service, going through the manifest, processing a specimen. Like all of these things are important to a phlebotomist, but we do more than just draw blood. Can we all agree to that, right? Now, you're representing your service and your brand to those you serve daily. And again, whether you're at a patient service center or you're working at a hospital, you are marketing, your services and who you are. Because if you aren't the best phlebotomist out there and you're, disrespectful, or you have a smell to you, or you're not, appearing, well, that's a marketing message to your customers, and they won't go to you for lab work services, right? Because of your appearance, your skills, all of these things we have to keep in mind. Okay. But let's keep going. So next thing I want to say is, how well are you portraying your professionalism, phlebotomist, your dedication and the essence of your services to your clients? Your actions, your words, your appearance, and demeanor form the message that patients use to choose their healthcare services, okay? Patients have options for mobile healthcare services. When they choose your services, your role is secure. Okay. However, if they're dissatisfied due to your message, your business faces the risk of losing credibility and clients. All right. So remember this, phlebotomist, your mobile phlebotomy business message reaches your patients through 4 key avenues. And we're going to jump into it. So I'm so excited because we need to talk about these 4 key avenues. So if you're listening to this right now, we need to understand these avenues, okay? Because a lot of the times we start a business and we don't understand the 4 avenues that we need to master in order to get patients to trust us, to listen to us, and want to continuously get service from us, whether it's at a patient service center or your mobile phlebotomy business. So let's jump into the first one, which is going to be your skill. All right. Who here has skill? Comment the number 1 in the chats right now. If you feel like you got the skill to draw blood, you can draw blood with your eyes closed. You can, you can process specimens really great. Like your skills is just amazing. Comment the number 1 right now if you feel like you got skill in phlebotomy. If you're able to draw blood, if you're able to process, you're able to enter patients' information, all this stuff, comment the number 1. I want to see who has the skills. I see you over there, Brandy. You got skills? Okay, awesome, awesome. So just like if you went to buy a car, okay, and you were test driving this specific car. So you're in there, you're looking for a car, you're test driving it, and out of nowhere you hear this weird noise, right? And it's the engine, right? The check engine light comes on, you hearing the brakes, they sounding really, really bad, right? And they're trying to sell you this car, right? So you decide to not only refuse to purchase the vehicle, but you never go back thinking that you never go back because you think that all the cars at that specific lot pretty much sounds like that, or pretty much, doesn't have the best brakes. All the check engine lights are going off on all these places. all these cars in this lot. So you feel, like, hey, I don't want to buy it. You leave, phlebotomist, right? So remember, patients will not return to a phlebotomist who disappoints them. And your expertise will define your brand's reputation. Who here has ever been in a situation? Here, I'm going to make this bigger. Who here has ever been in a situation to where you were at a patient service center and you were working with a phlebotomist and they went to go draw a patient's blood, right? But listen to this. They missed. and the vein was juicy. It was big. It was just, right in your face. But that phlebotomist had an excuse for the patient and said that patient was dehydrated. Who here has ever heard that? Raise your hand or comment the number 1. Because we hear that all the time. A patient's dehydrated, the patient moved around, or they have rolling veins, when that's really not the case at all. And now when you go over there to actually draw the blood, you see that the vein is smack dead in that, in your face. So now you're just like, well, how'd you miss this? Like, where's your skills at? You know what I mean? Or another situation, if a patient, let's just say you're drawing them or you're about to, perform a venipuncture on them, and out of nowhere, listen to this, out of nowhere, the patient tells you that they want to get drawn in one specific spot, okay? Whether it's the hand, whether it's the antecubital fossa area, they tell you where to go. But guess what? You don't listen to them, right? So now you don't have listening skills, okay? So you may be great at drawing blood, but you don't listen to the patient. So now when you draw their blood, you don't get it because that patient tells you that they don't get no blood in this vein. You have to go somewhere else. So if you don't listen to that patient, now you don't have listening skills. Again, we're on skills right now for your marketing message. Another situation, let's just say we have a patient that you're drawing blood on, right? And you actually blow the vein, or you actually cause bruising because you went too deep into the vein, causing blood to come out into the skin. And now bruising happens, right? So we need to double check and just understand why this happened and how can we, fix this issue or problem. Because if a patient's bruising, sometimes we'll get the collection. Let's just say we got a CBC from a patient and they still bruise. Most of the phlebotomists that I've witnessed and I've seen would actually, be okay with, hey, we got the sample. That's all they're worried about. If they got that CBC, that BMP, that SST, they're fine. Hey, we got the sample. We're going to send it over to the laboratory. Not really caring about the patient. Not really caring about the bruising that this patient is going through at this very moment. You'll put some Cobain on there, some paper tape, whatever, but you're not caring because you got your sample already. It's almost like, you draw this person's blood and you get the sample and you're just not caring. And now you're just worried about the next patient so you can just get about your day. And it can't be like that. So if that situation were to happen, we need to understand, because it does happen to some patients, whether they have rolling veins, deep veins, veins that blow. We have to show them not only our phlebotomy skills, but that we care too. And in our caring, we can definitely show them, hey, how can we make this situation better or a better experience for our patients? Okay, so that they can see that we have compassion for not only their lab work, but for the actual bruising that's on their arms. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys the 7 things that you guys need to do. Okay, if whether you're working at a patient service center, whether you're working as a phlebotomy CEO, I feel like these 7 steps that I'm about to give to you guys will be so crucial, because your patients will see that you are compassionate and that you do still have skill outside of venipuncture, because you make the situation a lot better. The first thing you're going to do is apply pressure, obviously, right? So when you're actually doing the venipuncture and you are seeing, blood coming out, or you see a bruise, happening right before your eyes, you're going to obviously take the needle out and apply firm pressure. And what that does is going to minimize the bleeding and reduce bruising for that specific patient's arm. Okay. So important. Next, I want you guys to have the patient elevate their arms, okay, just for a little bit, because that'll reduce the swelling for that specific patient. And then phlebotomy is so important, okay? Do not get heat packs for these patients if they're getting bruising. You need to have a cold pack. So go into the refrigerator or freezer, you get some ice packs. And when you get the ice packs, that'll help constrict the blood vessels and reduce the inflammation on that specific site or that bruise site for that patient. It's so important. Stop putting heat to these patients' arms if they are bruising. You need a cold pack, okay? We need to constrict that blood vessel, okay? And that'll reduce the inflammation, of course, okay? Next, I need you to assess the patient's medical condition. Who here has ever been in a situation? Comment the number 1. If you've drawn a patient's blood, right? And as you're drawing the patient's blood, maybe, blood is coming out the patient's arm. You tape them up and now they're like leaking blood, but you were able to ask them these important questions. And the question is, are you on blood thinners? Have you ever asked that question to a patient who has excessive bleeding after a venipuncture? Comment number 1 if you ever did that. And it's important. And we can find these indicators out based on, if the patient is getting a PT-INR, because if we know that a patient got a PT-INR, we know that, hey, they're on blood thinners, right? They're warfarin, Coumadin, heparin. That'll give you indicators, hey, this patient may have excessive bleeding after the venipuncture. So we need to understand these things. Even if the patient doesn't give us, their health history at all, we can kind of look at a script to see what they're getting blood work done for, or sometimes the test tubes, because usually when people are getting the light blue tube with the sodium citrate, we'll most likely know that maybe this patient is on a blood thinner. So we ask them, hey, are you on blood thinners? And they'll tell you right then and there, okay? But one of the things I want you guys to stop doing too, because I hear this a lot, is phlebotomists are asking patients if they're on Tylenol. And Tylenol is not a anticoagulant. It has no anticoagulant properties in Tylenol, okay? That's very important to know, okay? So stop asking that question, okay? Tylenol is a analgesic, so it's more of a pain reliever, and an antipyretic. So that will help lower the fever, okay? So that's what Tylenol does, okay? So stop asking that question, okay? I see phlebotomists ask that, hey, are you on Tylenol? And I'm like, wait, Tylenol is not a anticoagulant. It doesn't have any anticoagulant properties in Tylenol, okay? So analgesic and antipyretic, okay? So that'll reduce the fever and also relieve pain from that specific patient with a person who's on Tylenol, okay? Just remember that, a little gem for you guys. But yeah, so you want to assess the patient, ask them if they're on any type of medication to help, with you understanding why they have excessive bleeding. That's so important. Of course, you're going to document the incident, because if you have that patient come back, let's just say if they are on PT-INR, usually they will come back every single week, right? So we now know, hey, Miss Amy's coming in. She had a situation that happened last week. It's where we went to one site and her blood it blew. It got blood everywhere. It splattered everywhere. But we have this incident documented so that we know what to do better next time. Maybe we should use a smaller gauge needle because, maybe previous we used the bigger gauge, and her veins are really, really tiny. So now we know how to move forward with the blood draw procedure, you see? So just make sure you document all of that whenever you have that happen. And also aftercare is going to be important whenever we're talking to these patients. So let's just say if you were dealing with a patient who does have, their veins blown, I would say, hey, I want to make sure that you guys are okay, or make sure that you're fine. So whenever you go home, make sure you do no strenuous activities. Make sure you have this site always clean, and be on the lookout for any infections. We want to make sure that we are showing compassion for these patients. Again, even if we get that sample and they are bruised, we have to show that we still care, phlebotomists. Okay, that's going for patient service center phlebotomist, is CEO mobile phlebotomy business phlebotomist. Okay, and then the last thing, which will be step 7, call these patients. Literally pick up the phone and call them to check up on them. I need you guys to do that, to not only make relationships, but to show that you do care about this patient. Okay, so hey, how you doing, Miss Amy? We see that you were here around 12 o'clock for a venipuncture, and it didn't go too well because your veins blew, or or bruising has caused. I'm sorry, or you were bruised by our venipuncture, right? So you're going to say, hey, are you in any pain? Did it go down? Is it still any swelling? Like, we have to show that we care. All right. So doing those steps, I just feel like, just really pushes the envelope for your skills, because granted, you may have caused bruising for a patient and it may not be your fault. They just probably, have veins that blow easily, but we're able to still show them skills to how to fix this, to how to improve on this, to how to make this situation better, versus just bandaging them up and, sending them on their way. And then maybe 5 to 10 minutes later, they're coming back with a bloody arm because you didn't ask them these questions. Or are you on blood thinners? Do you bleed easily? Like, all of these questions are so important. So skill is definitely going to be a big one when it comes down to your marketing message. Okay, phlebotomist. All right, so let's keep going. So next is going to be appearance. Phlebotomist, who here has ever been in a situation to where you are working with a phlebotomist and their hair isn't together? They smell like cigarettes. They have wrinkled scrubs, a lab jacket that has stains on there. You kind of feel like, what are you doing? And as a patient, they look at that as well, and they see that, hey, you don't look too up to par. Like, I don't really trust you with my samples, because you don't even take care of yourself. Like, how would I feel with you drawing my blood, or you dealing with my sample, that it will be taken care of if you don't look like you're taking care of yourself? So having your appearance is going to be another thing. So here's an example. So if a mechanic crawls from under a car covered in grease, dirt, and oil, he is telling you in his marketing message that he isn't afraid to get dirty if that's what it takes to get the job done, right? So this is why you should always appear clean to your patients, with a smile on your face, of course. So no wrinkled scrubs or lab jackets, no dirty nails, no smelling like cigarettes. And if your marketing message comes off like that, it will be coming off as inadequate, as lazy, as not professional. All of these things are going to convey to your marketing message to your patients, right? And remember, you cannot trust a dirty phlebotomist anymore that you can trust a clean mechanic. And, I say that because, hey, if you were to see a dirty phlebotomist versus a clean one, who would you go to? The clean one, obviously. And if you're going to get, your car service from a mechanic, which one would you trust? The dirty mechanic or the clean one? I would trust the dirty one, because he's willing to get dirty to make sure that my car gets fixed. You know what I mean? So having your appearance is going to be humongous. And another thing too, I wanted to talk about appearance is wrinkled scrubs, stains on the scrubs and lab jackets, smelling like cigarettes or weed, a strong perfume, your hair is messy, you don't wear gloves, which is a big thing. If you're going into a patient's room and you're about to perform a venipuncture on them, phlebotomist, I need you to wear gloves. Even if you are, going from one patient to the next. I need you to wear gloves, especially for those situations, because whoever have been in a situation to where you've seen a patient ask that phlebotomist, hey, can you change your gloves in front of me? Because you'll have phlebotomists that will work with 3 to 5 patients with the same gloves on and never changes them, And it's scary because you'll have phlebotomists that actually touches, patients' veins, go back and forth and get the sample, and then maybe a little splatter of blood that gets on that glove. And that phlebotomist will take those samples, literally take these samples, go over to the processing room, whether drop them off or process, and then they'll go to the next patient with those same gloves on, doing the same exact thing, going back and forth, touching the vein, drawing them, and it just keeps repeating. So I get so happy when I see patients confronting phlebotomists on that, because that patient knows, whether they're a nurse or someone in the medical field, but they are calling you out because they don't want nothing infectious to happen to them or to their blood or their samples. So they want to make sure that they got clean hands touching, their skin. Okay. So phlebotomists, make sure you never, ever go into a patient's room or, the draw room about to perform a venipuncture with gloves on already. Do it in front of their face. Do it in front of them while they're there. They can see that you're putting clean gloves on versus you opening up the curtains with those dirty gloves on. You're reading the actual script, right, with these dirty gloves on, and then you're just about to do the venipuncture. It's like, hey, can you switch your gloves? Because I've seen you walk in here with those on and you haven't changed them, And I see phlebotomists with maybe 3 gloves on at a time, and they'll just go out and just switch it out. I don't prefer that personally. I love to have it to where there's a fresh box of gloves right in front of me, and in front of the patient, of course, and you're able to do that swap or that change of clean gloves right in front of the patient. It's just so important to do those things. Okay, I just think it's crucial, especially if they're calling you out. You know what I mean? So definitely keep that in mind, phlebotomists. Let's keep going. This is great. All right. So next we're going to be talking about your speech. Okay. Speech is going to be important too, right? Because we need to know how to talk to these patients. We need to know how to make sure we're educated in these areas of phlebotomy. That's why I say it's more than just drawing blood. It's now knowing how to talk to our customers, how to talk to our patients. Okay. Can you speak plainly, knowledgeable, sincerely, with polish? Do you answer patients' questions, or do you just brush them off? Can you explain to a patient their steps for a specific procedure, maybe about fasting, or instructions on how to collect and submit a stool drop-off? Speech is important, and even the cleanest, the most germophobic phlebotomist can lose a potential customer just by their tone or speech. Remember, phlebotomists, all patients want to know is that you're happy to see them, you know your job, duties, and scope of practice within phlebotomy, and they want to know that you're honest and that you actually care. Okay, that's what the patient wants to know. Okay, there was a situation where a phlebotomist had a patient who needed a glucose, and the glucose was, I think it was about 50 mLs the patient had to drink. And the phlebotomist kind of freaked out in the back because they only had 100, so they were able, another phlebotomist was able to, speak to this new phlebotomist and say, hey, just have the patient drink half, and it was able to work out for them, but being educated in those small tweaks and, fixes really does make a big difference, within your peers in phlebotomy and also your patients too, so we just have to know how to speak to our patients and be able to speak outside of just, hey, small pinch. What name works best for you? Can I rename your date of birth? We need to know our additives. We need to know our orders of draw. We need to know when situations arises, how can we fix them with our speech, with our education? We need to know more things outside of just venipunctures, you guys. And we need to know how to speak to our customers on steps and instructions on what they should be doing next. Like I said in my example earlier, when we're talking about the patient who has bruising on the arm, we need to know how to talk to these patients as far as the steps they need to take, what they should be doing, raising their arm. We apply pressure, but it's how we speaking to these patients that really matter the most, okay? Personality. Who here has personality? Comment 1. Comment the number 1 if you guys have personality. I want to see who has personality. Comment in the chats. Who feel like they have some personality? Who has some personality? Comment in the chats. I would love to know. If you don't have personality, comment number 2, because we got to talk about that too. Who here has personality? And when I say personality, you have a way where patients can gravitate to you. Patients can trust you. Patients can laugh with you. Patients know your first name. Patients really love you, and it's because of your personality, your enthusiasm in phlebotomy, how much you love it. They can see it and they can feel that energy and vibration. Who has personality? I want to know. I would love to know. Comment the number ones in the chat. I believe I do. There we go. There we go. I see you, Patricia. I see you, Brandy. Awesome. Yes, yes. You guys have to have personality. You guys need that personality. That's how you stand out from every other phlebotomist out there. Because a lot of the times you have phlebotomists who just don't have personality. They're all about being in and out, doing their ait and skate is the term that some of them use. So they really don't care about the person, because a lot of the times, here, I'll make this bigger. A lot of the times we are in these patients' face for maybe just 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes a little longer, depending on the test tubes and the specimens, but we're only there for about 3 to 5 minutes with that patient. So we can barely get to know them, like how we really should, you know what I mean? So having that extra personality, that enthusiasm, that energy and vibration goes a long way with not only your business, but your marketing message, okay? Because if a person comes to me with high energy, enthusiasm, and phlebotomy, I want to pick them all the time. Versus the girl who's just so quiet, she don't care. It's just like the vibrations just give an attitude. Like, we don't want that. We don't want to keep going to that. I'd rather have a person who's going to say, hey, how you doing, Miss Justine? How are you? I see that you need blood work done, so I'm going to actually get you all set up. What all works best for you? And you just talk to them. You give them personality. You give them energy and vibrations that is good, because you never know what these people are going through. So when we are actually giving them personality and talking to them and just showing them that we have a love for phlebotomy, it's almost like contagious, and they want to continuously come back to you because you give off good vibrations and good energy. So I'm not telling you guys to scream and shout or anything like that. All I'm telling you is to not only be professional, but show your love of patient care and also phlebotomy too. Okay, patient care is going to be the first one, and then phlebotomy, because they want to know that you know your stuff and that you love what you do. We want to see that. If you hate it and you're miserable, it will show. You will see like that person, that face, that energy when a person doesn't like their job and they're there for the money. They're there for the bucks. They're not there for the patients and the niche of phlebotomy itself, So personality will be a huge one, phlebotomist. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. This is great. This is great. Yeah, but I don't want anyone dry either. Okay. You got to have some energy. If you come at me, dry, it's not good. It doesn't feel like it's genuine. It just feels very much hey, you're just here to do your job. You really don't care about me. You don't care about, my specimen. You don't care about any of those things. You're the type of person that'll probably pour off my specimen if you miss something, but because you're just here for the money, it doesn't matter to you, and it's all about having integrity for these samples and for the patients, okay? And that's going to be very, very important. So this is where patients can see who you really are and that you're not a robot, okay? We don't want to be robots. We want to have personality, okay? Your marketing message can show through your personality by how genuine you are, how unique you are, and how creative you can be. I say all the time, anyone can start a mobile phlebotomy business, but what sets you apart from the rest? And this is where the marketing message happens for your mobile phlebotomy business, because you'll have 2 mobile phlebotomy businesses, okay? And this is important for the phlebotomy entrepreneurs that are listening to this right now. So if you have 2 phlebotomy businesses and they're side by side down the street from each other, they have everything up and running for their business. Everything's perfect, okay, as far as getting their business set up. This person right here is not marketing. They have no personality. They have nothing, but they have their business up and running, right? Versus this person who's actually showing enthusiasm, giving out tips, talking to her customers, being personable, marketing her services through her personality. Who would you pick? This person, right? The purple, marker. But you would pick that person because they are showing you that this is their personality. They love what they do, and they love to educate, entertain, and elevate these patients, versus the person who just has it up and running, hoping for a patient to come to their door, or just waiting for an opportunity to come. When this person, this phlebotomy CEO, is creating opportunities for themselves. Okay, you see the difference? So that marketing message is going to be beautiful and great to do when you have your personality show. Okay. So next is going to be okay, and it's going to be personality. It'll make your marketing message way more effective. If you have a personality that is negative or have an attitude all the time, patients can see that and completely avoid your services. But has a patient ever come back to you for services because of your enthusiasm, your confidence, and the way you exude how much you love phlebotomy and helping others? Who here has ever been in a situation to where a patient knows your first name? Comment the number one in the chats. Comment the number one in the chats if a patient ever came to you and they knew your first name by heart. Let me see. Who here has ever had a patient that knew their first name when they walked through the door? They say, "Hey, Katrina. Hey, Brandy. Hey, Sam. Hey, Leo. What's going on?" They know you because of your work, because of your track record, because of your consistency, because of your personality. They are attracted to that, phlebotomist. So if you're coming to them evil or disrespectful, angry, upset, pissed off, they're not going to want to deal with you. And they may remember you by, that girl with the pink hair, or that girl who's always slamming the door, or that girl who's always yelling, the patients. They're not going to remember their name, and they don't care to know because, they just are not attracted to that. And if they do want to know your name and you have an attitude, you're disrespectful, they're usually trying to get your name to call corporate. Okay. And we can all agree to that. They will call corporate to, complain about this specific phlebotomist and how they're treating these patients. Okay. So phlebotomists out there listening, please make a personal inventory of the degree to which your marketing message is delivered in each of these 4 ways. Okay. And ask yourself if you're effectively selling your business or employers' services or discouraging repeat visits. Okay. Important because that'll let you know if your marketing message is strong, if you're putting it out there the right way, if people are coming back to that patient service center, not because of the location, but because of the customer service. If they know first names, if they know who their favorite phlebotomist is, your marketing message obviously is good because people keep coming back to you. They keep asking for you. They keep requesting you. And also, if those people are always requesting you, that person specifically wants to utilize your services and can utilize your services outside of that patient service center, outside of that hospital. Again, it's about that organic relationship you've just created. All right. So we have to keep that in mind. Okay, phlebotomist. So deep down, you're probably don't feel like a salesperson or a saleswoman or a salesman. You may not even want to be one. Okay, you're a healthcare professional and you deliver a high quality product, which is your expertise. Okay, this is why I say we are doing more than just blood work. Okay, we're doing things outside of that. Granted, that's what our main thing to do is venipunctures, right? But we are doing other things which makes us an expert in those specific areas. So if you're a phlebotomist working at a patient service center, your expertise is why you were hired. Your marketing message is what keeps you there. Okay, that's why you're not fired. That's why they haven't released you, because you're obviously doing something good. You're obviously keeping these patients to come in the doors and request for you or want your services. Okay. And for mobile phlebotomy business owners, your expertise is why you started this business. And your marketing message is what's keeping you getting clients. Okay. This is why clients are continuously coming to you for your mobile phlebotomy business, because of that marketing message you are putting out there. Okay. So phlebotomists, don't forget, okay, we have a marketing message. You are marketing your services. You are marketing a company's services by your appearance, okay, by your skill, by your personality. Like all of these things we need to really take into consideration times 50, okay? Because again, we are marketing, but sometimes we don't even realize it, okay? So again, no more wrinkles, scrubs. If a patient wants to, get lab work done and you perform the venipuncture and it blows, we need to know how can we make this a better situation with our skill, not only with drawing blood, but for making that patient more comfortable so we can show compassion for this bruised arm, right? We can tell them the steps on what they need to take, what questions we need to ask them so that they can see that we know our stuff, outside of phlebotomy. If our appearance is wrinkles, scrubs with stains, most of the time patients will look at that and say, I don't want to deal with that person. She has a smell to her. She doesn't look like she cares. She comes off lazy or incompetent. And personality, phlebotomists, we have to exude our personality. We have to ooze great personality for our patients, especially the ones that are afraid of needles. Oh my gosh, don't get me started on that. I just feel like if we do that, we'll build so much more trust with our patients because they'll see that we do care about them. We care about their feelings. We care about their emotions, what they're going through at that very moment. It's just so imperative and it's so important that we, take these 4 traits and input it into our mobile phlebotomy business and our patient service center or working at a hospital, clinic, or nursing home, wherever you're doing blood. Put these 4 traits into your business model or into your 9 to 5. And I promise you, you will continuously get patients asking for you, requesting you, and wanting just your services because how you're going above and beyond that venipuncture draw. And I will be talking to you guys soon. This is a great show. Does anyone have any questions at all? This is awesome. This is awesome. Awesome, you guys. So I will be talking to you guys soon. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at Easy Stick Mobile, on YouTube at the Phleb Club Hub. And thank you guys so much for watching. Talk to you guys soon.